I am a massive nerd that loves Pokemon, and I've always enjoyed various challenges like Nuzlocke or harder ROM hacks since, well, Pokemon is a game for children, and I am now an adult. But I have honestly been quite disappointed as a longtime Pokemon fan with some of their more recent releases. But one thing that caught my eye a couple years ago was the competitive scene in Pokemon. Almost immediately, I became hooked, spending many nights grinding the ladder on Pokemon Showdown, getting really good at singles to the point where I even made top 100 for a brief period in a couple formats. Although, one part of competitive Pokemon that I only really dipped my toe into was doubles, and more specifically, the rule set of the official competitive format of Pokemon, VGC. Don't get me wrong, I've watched more than enough Wolfie VGC videos to know what was going on, but as always someone that mostly stuck to singles. For those that don't know the rules of VGC compared to a normal 6v6 Pokemon battle you will do in game, I'll attach a quick snippet of the rules from the official handbook on screen, but I recently decided to more or less fully submerge myself into VGC by entering a Pokemon Draft League using VGC rules. And I'm very much realizing now that I'm going to need to explain a lot for my friends that watch my videos that don't know anything about competitive Pokemon. But for the sake of simplicity, it's a competitive league where you draft Pokemon to use on your team. 10 to be exact. If you're still a bit confused, don't worry, it probably still won't make sense by the end of the video. Now, this league had a very high power level in terms of the pool of Pokemon available. And by that, I mean everything was fair game. Behemoths like Arceus, Mega Rayquaza, Xerneas, even No-Guard Fissure Machamp, and Terra Electric Air Balloon Ninja. Despite my inexperience in VGC and overwhelming amount of options, I ended up with a team after the draft that was from the get-go considered one of, if not the best in the league. The incredible duo of Calyrex Shadow Rider and Zamazenta led this stacked core along with Indeedee, Smeargle, Ho-Oh, Hatterene, Ogerpon Cornerstone, Zeraora, Noivern, and Gyarados. As the season went on, there was a number of changes to the roster, which I will get into later. As for now, though, I have my current drafted roster and a scary first ever draft matchup. A Xerneas team with great offensive threats like Magearna, Eternus, Mewtwo, and great supporting mons with Volbeat for Prankster Tailwind, and Follow Me users like Ogerpon, Hearthflame, and Blastoise. I immediately knew I need counterplay for Xerneas, and more specifically, its signature move Geomancy, which raises Xerneas' speed, special attack, and special defense by 2 stages. I opted to give my Shadow Rider Mirror Herb in order to potentially copy Xerneas' stat buffs, along with giving Smeargle the signature move of Malamar, Topsy-Turvy. Topsy-Turvy is an almost never seen move that turns all the target's stat buffs into nerfs. This is incredible counterplay for Xerneas. After that, I rounded out my team with Shadow Rider's favorite partner Zamazenta, a very bulky, strong Tailwind Center in Ho-Oh, a support set Zeraora, and an Ogerpon form of my own, with Follow Me to boot. My effort put into team building more than paid off, as a set I was very nervous for became a 2-0 in which I'd only had a singular death in the entire set. 1 went down, 7 games to go. I may have done pretty well in my first match, but this is where I get into the adversity I overcame, the struggles, the losses, the failures, and, well, no. This seemed to become a common trend as I proceeded to win my next 4 sets as well without dropping a single game. Wow, I'm much better than this than I thought. And also, my team was becoming even more of a nightmare straight from hell. Unfortunately for me, there was a number of scary teams in this league, as in week 6, there were 3 other teams of the 16 total that were also undefeated. I was facing an incredibly strong raid team, with Kyogre and Miraidon being the 2 aces, 2 of the best Pokemon ever in competitive, and then Landorus Therian, an elite support mon with the ability Intimidate, Archaludon, Mega Swampert, Dundeus Therian, Basculegion, even Prankster Tailwind available with Illumise. This team was going to be one of my toughest tests yet. But I was quite proud of the team I ended up building, especially because I had 2 new additions to my team making their debut this week, Cottonee and Mega Banette. Mega Banette, in my opinion, is a very underrated Mega. While it can be tough to justify using it over a lot of other strong Megas, in base form, Banette gets the ability Frisk, which allows me to see my opponent's items when it enters battle, and when it Mega Evolves, it gets one of the best abilities in the game, Prankster, which allows Banette's non-attacking moves to have priority. I knew my opponent liked to use Choice Specs on Miraidon, which gives it a big power boost in exchange for allowing it to only use one move until it switches out. Banette's Frisk ability can confirm my opponent's item choice on Miraidon, and then when it Mega Evolves, it can use its Prankster ability to outspeed the incredibly fast Miraidon to use Disable on it, disabling the last move it used, and making it one of the strongest Pokemon ever, Miraidon, dead meat on the field. And this is exactly what happened at the beginning of Game 1. I led Zamazenta and Banette into my opponent's Miraidon and Thundurus, frisked the Choice Specs, double protected, and then disabled Miraidon. Miraidon took big damage from Body Press, as it did nothing, but Mega Banette ended up taking a lot of damage from Dark Pulse. However, this was still part of the plan. As my opponent's Miraidon switched out, I clicked Destiny Bond with my Banette as it went down, taking the attacker, the Thundurus Therian, down with it. As the switched-in Kyogre took big body press damage from Zamazenta as well. Despite this incredible start, a late-game Icy Wind threatened to still cause me to lose during the end game. Luckily, I had brought our new other star, Cottonee, to the battle, as its own Prankster ability allowed me to use Tailwind to regain speed control the same turn I delivered the finishing blow, onto Game 2. I had revealed my tricks with Banette, so in this game, I mixed up the lead, going with the two Mons I had in the back in Game 1, Calyrex Shadow Rider and Cottonee, as my opponent led Kyogre and Thundurus. I was able to cancel out Kyogre's Rain by using Sunny Day with Cottonee, and attacking with Astral Barrage from Calyrex. My opponent, however, made a great turn 1 play, as he used Volt Switch to get damage onto Calyrex, while switching out his own Prankster Tailwind user, and then used Icy Wind with Kyogre to ensure he would win the speed control war. I switched out Calyrex for Ogerpon to reposition, and to cancel out my opponent's speed drops on my Calyrex. My Ogerpon threatened a Hornleech KO on Kyogre and an Ivy Cudgel KO on Illumise. My opponent made a read, protecting his Illumise, betting I was going to Ivy Cudgel into it. I did not, however. I used Hornleech into the Kyogre, securing a big KO. This play allowed me to secure the game and the set, causing the number of undefeated teams to shrink by 1. This win also secured my place in the top 8, meaning I was a shoo-in for the playoff. In the last 2 weeks, I played 2 teams that were competing for playoff spots, and these sets were pretty secure wins for me, but I'll still put the teams I faced on screen and the teams I brought. I would like to go more in depth on these sets, but I like to try and keep my videos relatively short. We still have a lot of playoffs to talk about. Also, for the sake of time, I'll be skipping over the first round of the playoffs to discuss my semifinals and finals match, which were quite interesting. For the semifinals, I had a rematch against the Miraidon and Kyogre team. The player had gone undefeated outside of losing to me, and he was hoping to get his revenge, and almost did, as after a clean Game 1, an absolutely abysmal start to Game 2 caused me to lose, forcing the all-important Game 3. I made a key adjustment Game 3, shutting down my opponent's Illumise early by tricking Choice Scarf onto it with Darkrai. Miraidon still almost ran my team over, even with Illumise stuck using Encore, but this time I decided to run Fake Tears on my Cottonee to barely secure an endgame win, with Calyrex picking up the final KO. The finals were a matchup against a player who I had been working with all season with our matches to help team build. He was the number 2 seed, and after a couple of nail biters for himself, we were set to play for the championship. His team, however, was a completely different level of broken than mine, a type of broken that caused numerous salt-induced arguments in the Discord. My opponent loved gimmicks. Nogar Fissure Machamp paired with a Skydrop spamming Tornadus was enough to make entire teams crumble in this league, let alone the rest of his formidable roster. At the start of the season, we had played a mock battle with our 2 teams, in which I was blown out. But I had grown as a player. I was ready to face him and win. The overwhelming number of strong dark types on my opponent's team made Calyrex feel like it was not going to be able to cook this time around. However, if I could just get rid of my opponent's Mega Chandelure, I thought that Zamazenta could be the hero for the week. I rounded out my team with Ho-Oh for Tailwind/bulk damage, Hatterini for Anti-Trick Room, Smeargle for elite support, and Ogerpon Quarterstone, as I found out the ability Sturdy completely negates Fissure. especially since Ogerpon gets follow me. In Game 1, I led Zamazenta and Smeargle, as my opponent led Incineroar and Oranguru, clearly showing he was trying to set up Trick Room. Although I did get big damage onto the Incineroar with Body Press, my opponent was able to get up Trick Room, and since I did not bring Hatterene Game 1, this was going to be tough for me to stall out these 4 turns of Trick Room. Next turn, I used Follow Me with Smeargle, soaking up a Will-O-Wisp clearly meant for Zamazenta, and finished off the low HP Incineroar, 3 turns of Trick Room left. Turn 3 was a repositioning turn, as my opponent protected Ursaluna, allowing it to activate its ability Guts with the Flame Orb, 2 turns of Trick Room left. Ursaluna took out my Zamazenta with a Headlong Rush, and my Smeargle Spore was blocked by the Protect from Oranguru. A bad turn for me, but luckily only 1 turn of Trick Room left. I double protected, stalling out the final turn of Trick Room, giving my team speed control for the first time since turn 1. I spored Oranguru to ensure it couldn't get Trick Room back up, and did decent damage to the switched in Yveltal. My Smeargle staying alive for so long allowed its Moody ability to eventually give it a speed boost, allowing Smeargle to also spore the Yveltal, giving me a much needed break from my opponent's onslaught. But unfortunately for me, my opponent's Oranguru was just taking a brief nap, so it woke up and set up a Trick Room again. Although fortunately for me, Yveltal was quite tired, meaning I was able to KO both my opponent's Yveltal and Oranguru despite having the speed disadvantage. This led to an endgame where I had my Ogerpon Cornerstone against my opponent's Ursaluna, which had Terra'd into Ghost typing. My Ogerpon was unable to one-shot the Ursaluna, while it could easily one-shot me with Headlong Rush. Surely, I had lost. But I had the move Horn Leech, allowing me to heal my Ogerpon back to full, reactivating its Sturdy ability, and allowing me to live with my last Pokemon on 1 HP, KOing the Ursaluna on the next turn. So the next one will be just as intense and exciting, well, no. An unfortunate early Will-O-Wisp miss on a boosted Zamazenta all but secured the game early for me, and I was the champion. Wow, I did it. Massive shoutouts to everyone that participated in the league and everyone that helped me out throughout this process, especially in the league. I couldn't have done this without you guys, and it's been super fun playing. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed.